as I told both of you before, I used to work as a journalist, so I got to meet quite a few people in the industry. I made yearly trips to Tokyo Game Show and other conventions like Osaka Bitfest, and I've actually even met like Kojima Hideo and
oh really?
Yeah, and I met Yuji Naka one time as well.
How are they?
Met him.
Yeah.
Yuji Naka is kind of a pretentious douche.
That's yes. Yeah. I really don't have many nice things to say about him.
Kojima's interesting. He's definitely on a different wavelength than most of us. He's not bad though. He's not bad, but Kojima is a weird, just a weird guy, a very weird guy. He's not bad though. Yuji Naka though. I actually made the mistake of asking him about a particular bug. I was like, I have a question to ask him about Sonic the Hedgehog 1, and like, dude, why is it when you fall in the spikes like twice you die? Like that's not fair. And he's like, "F you, dude."
He didn't say that. I'm sure he didn't use F words.
No, he didn't say "F you," but he was just kind of like, he said like, "I have nothing to say to you anymore." Like.
He's like Jama, like that sort of thing.
No, he actually said like he said oh my.
Oh my!
He said oh my.
Craig doesn't probably know this, but yeah.
But if you say oh my to someone, it means like you mother. But he said like oh my to mo hanasu nai yo ne. And I was
wow.
Whoa.
He went to oh my in like 3 seconds.
But yeah, he literally said like I have nothing more to say to you, mother.
Hello everyone and welcome to Sonic Historian. I'm here with my co-host Mark, and for today joining us is very special guest Craig Stitt. You may not know Craig by name, but you definitely know his work. So picture the time was 1990, Craig was 27 years old, just newly married, graduated from San Jose University in art education, and one day he finds a job offer from the then at the time former Atari programmer Marc Cerny at his newly founded Sega Technical Institute, also known as STI. Sega Technical Institute was Sega's development division in the United States. Now, Craig had the hopes of getting to work on some of the Sega arcade games. But before I tell more of this story, Craig, where did you see this job offer again?
It was an ad in the newspaper that said, wanted video game artist, video game designer, no experience necessary. It was literally what it said in this little clipping in the Want ads.
Yeah. So why don't we go into that actually? So your basically your history of Sega begins when you were out of art school, and you applied to basically a newspaper article that was... Yeah,
I'd been doing computer graphics, but it was like it was business office graphics, pie charts, occasionally something creative, but just really boring stuff. It was actually my wife at the time called me at the job and says, "Hey, I found your dream job." Came home and there was that clipping from the newspaper.
Your wife found the job, really?
Yes. Because she was tired of me complaining about my job, so I'd come home and there would be the newspaper with all these possible jobs circled. But this one, she didn't wait for me to get home. She actually called me.
Man, back in the day.
I found your dream job.
Can I ask you what you were doing? If you don't want to go into it, it's fine.
Doing the job-wise?
Yeah, job-wise.
It was on a system called Jenna Graphics. They were the size of a small car. They were about $100,000 per system. It was the first early generation computer graphics systems. No animation, so it was just static images. What was it called? What was the type of graphics? I can't remember. It wasn't vector, but it was anyway, you could do some beautiful work on them. But it was most of what was done was pie charts for business meetings. So it was business graphics.
You hated this job.
So because it was just tedious and lots of it was just the people were good, but the work itself was boring. We occasionally got something fun. I got a couple of magazine covers out of it, so it was fun. But it was just not where I wanted to go. But so I called or whatever, and I know I put together some slides and my resume and mail. Yeah, I think just put stuff together and mailed it in, and then got a call from Marc, and he asked a few more questions. And at the time, I was applying for both designer and artist, either or. And so he told me what I need to submit to do both. Put together a little concept game to pitch, and I think some more artwork. And I know when I first met him, then he called me and said, "Yes, please come in." But when I first met him, I assumed he was this young kid. He looked like he was 16. And I'm thinking, okay, this has got to be like the assistant to whoever's running the place, right? No, he was the man.
Yeah. If I'm correct, I think Marc is the same age as you.
He's a couple years younger than me. So he was like 25 at the time, I think. 24 or 25 right. At the time.
Was Kid Chameleon the first game you guys worked on?
Yeah. So initially I was kind of depressed. He was like, "Oh, I'm not doing the arcade games." Which now I'm very, very glad I wasn't doing arcade. I'm very glad.
I'm very glad too. So.
Why were you glad that you weren't doing arcade games?
Well, now just because the homes, because who knows the arcade games? That's much more of a niche market where there's millions of people and huge ad campaigns for the home console system stuff. Right.
So like Radley, what we mean by that is the console games themselves are more of a exclusive package. There was a lot more intricate marketing behind them to appeal to a much more specific target audience. Whereas, I guess you could say arcade games are kind of more like movies at the movie theater.
Yeah, you know the new arcade games because you would go to the arcade and you'd see them. It's not like you saw them advertised on television.
Whereas you had to convince people to actually buy these console games, so they have more of a, I guess.
Well, I did spend a lot of time in the arcades back then. Not a lot of time, but I spent more time in the arcades. And I spent a lot of time in high school in the arcades. I did, like I said, when Marc called and says, "Okay, yeah, here, put together a game, and I want to meet you on this date," I realized, oh crap, I've never even touched a Nintendo. I've never played any of these games. So I called a buddy and said, "Hey, can I borrow your NES?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I sat and played, Mario and Duck Hunt and whatever other game he had just nonstop for 3 days. That whole wanted no experience necessary was very purposeful.
Right.
Marc wanted to bring people in from outside the industry because this was a whole new division. This was the first time Sega was going to be making games in-house in America. And he was going to be the man on it. And he wanted to teach people how to make games the way he wanted to make games. And he thought games should be made. Wow. So he didn't want people coming in with, their ideas of how games should be made or bad habits or, whatever. So everybody there, or at least almost everybody, had zero experience prior to starting at STI.
That I didn't think about. Wow. Was Marc himself a programmer on Kid Chameleon?
Yes.
He was. Okay.
Yeah, designer and programmer. So yeah, I remember there was lots of disappointments looking back. I remember they were talking about the game they were doing when I was being interviewed and first hired was Dick Tracy.
Right. I know that he worked on that. Right.
The LJN one?
No.
Okay. All right.
No. Although, there
that one is awful.
Yes, there was an LGN one though, but the Genesis one is.
There is a Genesis. That's right. There is a Genesis one.
It's a pretty good game, but so I was disappointed when I found out I wasn't going to be working on it, but they were almost done with it. And so we were going to do this game called Kid Chameleon because Marc. At the time, Sega was looking for a mascot. They were looking for somebody to go up head-to-head against Mario. And Marc was really hoping that he could be the one that gave that to Sega. And
hence that was Kid Chameleon.
So that was Kid Chameleon, which is kind of based a sequel to... Oh, just slipped my mind. What was the name of the game? Something Kid.
Kid Icarus.
No.
What was it? Anyway, there was another game that I can see the character, but I can't think. So it was kind of a sequel to that of a game that was in Japan.
What did they look like?
Alex
Kidd.
Alex Kidd. Alex.
Okay,
there we go. So it was kind of a sequel to Alex Kidd.
I can totally see that now, actually, yes. Anyway, so what was your first impression upon walking in the door at Sega?
The initial office was this tiny little thing in an office park. And it was like, oh, wow, really? This is it? I mean, it was like 4 rooms all shoved in together. And it's like everyone's sitting almost sitting on top of each other. And like, oh, okay. But it was also exciting because it's like, wow, I'm making games. So there wasn't that sense of Sega, because it was just this little office in a complex next to the freeway.
Right, because they were nothing back then.
Yeah, this was this little in-house development company. And Marc, the other thing is Marc also it was in-house, but Marc wanted to keep it as far away from Sega as physically possible. Because he knew marketing and all these people would want to get in there and start ordering things around and wanting him to do things their way.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. So you're saying that STI itself was...
It was 40 miles south of Sega of America.
Did that change later on? Like, I thought literally you were in-house.
Yeah, it did. So we were in that location for about a year or so. Then we moved about halfway up the peninsula, up to Redwood City, to a much nicer building. And we were there for a couple of years. And then we finally moved into Sega's headquarters. We had the corner first floor, had the corner down at Sega headquarters.
What was your first experience playing Sonic? Because I believe you had told me at one point in time that you actually were one of the first people to actually try the beta version of it.
Yeah, so I don't know what version this was. So like I said, we were hoping to have the Kid Chameleon would be Sega's mascot. One day, Marc comes in and says, "Hey, I've got this game from Sega Japan." So we all sat down and watched it, and it was beautiful. It was very pretty, and we sat there and played. It was this little blue character, and had some the architecture and the levels were gorgeous. The character was cool. I remember everyone being really impressed with just the little thing of his idle animation of his just turning and tapping his foot. It's like, oh, we got to do something like that. But the gameplay was we played for a few minutes, put the controller down, and went to work. And we didn't think too much about it. I remember we was sitting down with Marc because he was trying to figure out how they did the water and the palette shift as the water came up and down, and how they did the loop where you're passing in front of graphics and then behind graphics, and then so it gives you this sense of depth, but it's changing where the layering is. And I remember him sitting and thinking, finally figuring it out by looking at it closely. Then sometime later, we get an updated version. And we played that, and now we were fighting over, hey, you've been playing it, let me play. And the only difference that I can remember was in the first game, pretty sure they were rings. But when you got hit, you just died. Or maybe you bounced and took another hit, but there was no ring splash.
All right.
And so in this newer version we got, a few weeks later or a month later or however long later, there was the ring splash. And now it was fun. Now it was addictive. And at that point we all just looked at each other and went, crap.
No more Kid Chameleon, baby. It's Sonic.
Yeah. This is the mascot. There is no question that this is the mascot. It was amazing how that actually relatively simple thing completely changed the dynamics of the game. So good.
Yeah, that's true. You didn't see Mario do anything like that. Like when you got hit, maybe you have to hit a mushroom. Maybe you got small, but that's about it.
Yeah, well, because the typical thing, you get hit and you flash for a little bit, or you get, that kind of stuff. It's not that the first game wasn't fun. It was beautiful and it was fun, but it wasn't addictive. We'd sit and play for a few minutes and go, okay, yeah, here's the controller. I'm going to go back to work.
Maybe that's why Yuji Naka got so angry at me when I asked him about the book.
Yeah. It's probably all these little tiny things are going in his head, I wonder if he's like a real nervous wreck of a person, like if you mention like one little tiny issue with the project, just drive him crazy the rest of the day. You probably ruined his day, Marc.
I've always kind of wanted to know what Sega Japan was thinking. Because STI, Marc set that up specifically to bring over some Japanese over to the States and to work with the Americans. And so, some of the first people to come over, one of the first people to come over, or kind of the second wave to come over, was Yasuhara-san. And so he finishes, I'm not exactly sure how the timing works here, but he finishes Sonic 1, and then he comes over to STI. So did Sega not realize they wanted a sequel, or did they really not understand how huge Sonic was going to be to let Yasuhara come to America? So Yasuhara is here, and all of a sudden it's like, oh crap! Well, we need a Sonic 2, and at the same time, Naka was being Naka and had quit Sega. And
that's got to be the name of a podcast or something. Naka being Naka.
Naka being Naka. And but Marc Cerny and Naka were friends because Marc lived and worked in Japan for a number of years, and so he became friends with Naka while he was over there. And so Marc approached Naka and said, "Hey, why don't you come work with me at STI, and I'll insulate you from all the BS at Sega. But you'll actually be working with me for me, not Sega or America or Sega of Japan. And here's a big bag of money."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, okay." So so all of a sudden now we've got Yasuhara and Naka, and so that's how Sonic 2 ended up being done in the States, and how a bunch of Americans who literally it was their second game they'd ever done were working on what was going to be one of the biggest games ever made.
Huh.
So,
Yasuhara also worked on Sonic Spinball, I believe.
Not really. He may have done some consulting. He was at that point. He was busy doing Sonic 3 because that's one of the reasons I don't have many nice.
He was the director, and he was the director of that game actually.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think Spinball because that was Peter Morowick.
Okay.
Was
Marc's got a checklist, behind his back,
So who knows what there's some crossover and whatnot. So, but he would have been really busy over on Sonic 3 because at the end of Sonic 2, Naka insisted, and I had Roger Hector because somewhere in the middle of Sonic 2, Marc left Sega.
Yeah,
and Roger Hector came in. And somewhere in there, Roger made some promises to me about being some kind of lead something on Sonic 3. But Naka, when we finished, Naka says, "Okay, yeah, no, if you want me to do Sonic 3, you have to give me an all-Japanese team and our own office with our own doors and key cards, or I quit." And so that's how you. So Sonic 3 and Knuckles and everything done after 2 is an all Japanese. Even if it was done in the States, was an all Japanese team behind closed doors at Sega of America.
How did you feel about this?
I loved it. No, man, I was pissed. I was thoroughly pissed. I was pissed. I mean, I can totally appreciate Naka not wanting to speak English and not being comfortable speaking English. I don't hold anything against him for that. But he didn't have to be a dick. and for whatever his reasons were for insisting and threatening and
I'm gonna leave. Well, here's money, and please stay.
Yeah, and I think there's also another big pile of cash up front. I want to say that initial one was $2 million for Sonic 2. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure.
How often did you talk to Yuji Naka? Did you talk to him? You have like meetings or
Very
like what was the interactions like?
Very, very rarely did I have any direct contact with him. Occasionally, he'd be in meetings where the whole team was together, but mostly I was working with Yasuhara or Yamaguchi. So I had very little direct interaction with Naka.
So basically, he would just sit the other side of the room and use some translator to talk to you and then get angry about things. Can I say that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, that paints a pretty good picture.
I don't remember ever seeing him get angry. I never heard the "do it my way or I quit" speech myself. But
he would just kind of have a poker face the entire time.
Yeah, no, very much a poker face. That's when I picture him. It's definitely a poker face. So it was kind of out of the blue. It was kind of a surprise that I was not going to be working on Sonic 3. That there was no Americans going to be working on Sonic 3.
He hated the experience that much, huh?
I guess so.
Huh.
I think he didn't think American art was up to snuff. It wasn't as good as the Japanese art. I'm going to assume he thought the same about the Japanese programming and Japanese game design, or the American programming and the American game designers.
Huh.
So,
if I look you up on IMDb, it says that you work part of the art department on like Sonic Spinball and Sonic 2 for like zone art. For someone who wouldn't know what that title demands of you as like a creator, how would you explain it?
You are literally creating everything that you see on the environment that the characters run around on. So I didn't actually create any of the characters, be they enemies or that kind of stuff, but the literal terrain that you run around on. So like I did Oil Ocean Zone, and so the pipes and the tubes that you run around on, you're doing all that. Now I've been trying to remember specifically how much art direction we were given back then. I have this memory of the map for Oil Ocean having rough shapes of giant tanks and pipes. Because that's what Yasuhara was envisioning as he designed the level. And
so Yasuhara kind of came up with the concept behind the level.
So he was coming up with the concepts, and I'm trying to remember exactly how much art direction there was of any specific. I don't remember there being a lot, other than it needs to fit in the map.
So he basically just said, "Give me an ocean oil zone right now."
Yeah, that's it.
Can I say that? Okay.
Well, and they said there was the map, and he had these huge tanks, which are in the game, and towers and kind of stuff. So there was a lot of direction in his drawing of the actual layout of the map. And he had a very fun style. I loved his little cartoony stick figure drawings. His stuff was great. And so there was that, but I don't remember a lot of like, oh, that's not the way I pictured the tanks. It's like, no, that's. So, but I also could remembering any stressful things because reading back through old journals and things that I actually wrote stuff down, totally stressed and freaking out. But that's also because it was the second game I'd ever worked on. I'm working on Sonic the Hedgehog. And I'm working, and my art's being put up right next to Yamaguchi's, and his stuff was gorgeous. And he was a machine. There would be gorgeous artwork, and he'd come in the next day, and he'd scrapped it all and start it over because it wasn't good enough.
His stuff is gorgeous. He's one of my favorite artists.
Yeah, he's incredible.
He's fantastic.
He just lived at STI at Sega, and like it was a chemical factory. Was redone at least three times from scratch.
Oh, I love that level. It's such a beautiful level.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And so are the other versions.
Really? Huh.
It's not like any of them were bad. They just weren't what he...
Could you describe what they looked like?
I wish I could remember more. But I can remember going, wow, that's beautiful. And him just kind of going, eh.
It's what is, yo.
And coming in later, and it's like, what level is this? Oh, this is the same level. Or however he would say it. It's like, wow, how do you do that? I can barely get mine done on time without reworking it from scratch.
Why was his pen name like I believe his pen name was like Judy.
Judy Toyota.
Toyota, right? Yeah, like on.
I
Sonic
have
2.
no idea how he.
Where did that come from?
he
He did all the artwork for Sonic CD as well under that name. And I remember like seeing the credits and being like, "Who the hell is Judy Toyota?"
Yeah. I'm not sure for all the it was my understanding that the Sega of Japan didn't allow their people to put their real names.
Well, hence why
that makes sense.
Well, hence why Naka left because he was so pissed
because he wanted to put his real name.
No, he thought that him and his team deserved all the credit, and which they did, of course, but then they got so angry, so they left.
Yeah, so I have no idea where because all those names are just these weird mashup, names. So
Naka was U2, if I'm correct.
Like the band U2.
YU.
Oh, YU. Okay.
Yeah, so as in UG. So.
Because usually the way things work in Japan is usually the company wants to take the credit for work. It's not like the names attached, like the real names of real people. I imagine that's probably what it was. Don't you think, Mark?
It wasn't until maybe Shigeru Miyamoto became a household name with Mario.
The bandwagon effect
that started happening. And like Yuji Naka, of course, he thought of himself as being the next Miyamoto, which in some ways he was, and I feel that he did deserve that credit. But at Sega it kind of worked differently.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Craig, I have a question here. So if when creating like level designs for a Sonic game, what were like the goals that you try to reach with every like Sonic level? Like what makes a Sonic state or zone, quote unquote?
Yeah, well the stressful part was just trying to make it look like Sonic.
Really?
That quasi computer generated 3D polygonal look that is the Sonic look or the original Sonic look. And just trying to do that just was the stressful part, because there's a lot to live up to and a lot of expectations here of what it needs to look like, and then it's just trying to come up with something that's new, that's just not a rehash of what's been done, and yet still have it look like Sonic. Because you definitely wanted it where, at first glance, someone goes, "Well, that's Sonic," without even Sonic being on the screen. You wanted to have someone look at it and go, "Oh, that's a Sonic game." And part of that's colors, these bright, primary colors, and then that polygonal look, which was I think it's that polygonal like everything's made out of little polygons, is what defined that look of Sonic, and then the stripes and the checkerboards on stuff.
Right. How would you compare him to like 3D Sonic today?
I don't know. It's
I don't know either.
I don't hate on it like.
Okay. We're gonna go there. Okay.
Yeah, it's.
I'm sorry
it's just
to ask
different.
a question like this, but I know there's some real contentious opinions out there about
some
3D
people that
Sonic.
hate it. Well, even when we went to Sonic Spinball, there's people that hate Sonic Spinball because it's not Sonic. It's not this.
I might be one of those people actually. I'm sorry, but
and I'm a little now. See, which is funny because on so many things, I really am a purist on so many things. And so it's kind of funny here that I'm not. But it's also, and I need to find a way to say this better, is I'm not this huge gamer. And I feel bad even saying that, given what I've done and what games I've worked on and who I've worked with. It's not that I didn't love doing it, not that I didn't love working on the games, not that I don't enjoy games. But it's not something that I'm passionate about, the nitty gritty details. Now, if you get talking about Star Wars, I've gone through and freeze frame stuff and done huge researches on what shape the buttons should be on the chest armor for a stormtrooper. because
wow,
that was important to me because I've got some stormtrooper armor. And so that's where my passions and my you really need to get a life kind of thing.
Wow.
I sort of presume that since Yamaguchi was essentially like the lead artist on Sonic 2, do you think he used his artwork as a frame of reference? As you were saying,
absolutely.
As you were saying, like the hardest thing was to keep it or make it look like Sonic, and so therefore you would say that like perhaps his artwork is what you would always have to kind of go back to.
Play the original Sonic and watch and see how that's done, and then constantly going over and looking at Yamaguchi's stuff just to see how he was doing shapes and shines, reflections and what, because he pushed it. His stuff is much more I'll say polished is maybe not the right word.
Like right now I'm looking at actually I didn't realize it until like just now, but like actually this sketch right here of the Silver Sonic, apparently it was actually leaked by you. Like this like unpublished artwork by Yamaguchi of Silver Sonic is beautiful. Wow. I had that whole stack of sketches of all the enemies. Yeah, I'm actually looking at it right now. Yeah. This is actually incredible.
Wait a minute, you're the one that released the Supersonic thing onto the internet, or you're the first person to introduce that concept, or?
What I know a few months ago I had a whole stack because I'd taken all of his drawings and Xeroxed them just so I would have them, and so I could flip them for reference and ideas. And it was just all the enemies and vehicles and Robotnik and planes and stuff, and kept them just because they were cool. And it wasn't until they were in a box of stuff until here just a few months ago. I started like, well, I need to get this stuff out there where people can see it.
He was just going to throw them away. Was that right?
I wasn't going to throw them away. I mean, I've hung on to them for 30 years.
Not you. I mean,
he was.
Oh. Well, no, I don't know if he kept them. I don't know where all this
Yamaguchi,
stuff
excuse me.
I mean, he may have copies of them as well, or maybe Sega takes it all and it's in a box in the back of a storeroom somewhere at Sega of America.
But yeah, I'm looking at this some of this now recently released artwork, and apparently they say that it was actually you that put on the internet.
It's a stack. Because I was surprised how much of that how much people freaked out.
And like I'm looking at it right now. It's
never seen it.
It's fucking gorgeous stuff right now.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So that's when it's people's reaction to those drawings that maybe it's like, well, let me go through. There's other stuff here that I just assumed was out there, so it's not a big deal. Let me get stuff out there.
Well, we'll be sure to share some of these drawings in our Sonic Discord later, because I know for a podcast, like talking about something you can't see is kind
really
of
cool
bad.
Drawings.
Yeah. It's kind of frustrating, really. Now, I've read and like watched a couple of your interviews online about your work with Sonic 2, and you've like have quite the story about delivering the ROM of the game to Japan. Why do you think they trusted you so much with, delivering the ROM here?
I have no idea.
You have no idea, really?
I have no idea. Back then, the transmission speeds were so slow.
Right.
It would take hours and hours and hours and hours to transmit it. And invariably, something would happen to the transmission and you'd have to start over. So it was literally faster to fly somebody to Japan and take the chipset. Why they picked me, I've always thought, I don't know. I've always thought that Toyota and Kalinsky wanted to reward some people on the Sonic team because I delivered the chips, and Rick Macarag, who did some of the design work, a few days after I was there, showed up and he brought over the physical artwork for the box and the manual. Once again, why? I mean, they could have paid a professional delivery service to do all this, but they chose to just be actually incredibly cool and send me over all expenses paid for, a week or a week and a half,
Do you think it's because they trusted you because you delivered on time and everything?
I really don't know. A lot clearly they trusted me that I wouldn't.
Yeah, otherwise we probably wouldn't have the version of the game we have today, right?
Well, the interesting thing is when I was about halfway across the Pacific Ocean, they found an A bug in the code.
Oh no!
And so they fixed it, and then wired, electronically sent the code. Now maybe they just had to send a patch. I don't know. But I know that by the time I landed, the chipset I handed the producer there was out of date. So I was like, okay. And I worked a grand total of about 5 minutes on that whole trip. Literally, here it is. Thank you very much.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Less than 5 minutes, 30 seconds. Like, here, walk into the store and hand it to the producer.
Wait. When you originally told me about this story, you said you went into the wrong building.
Oh, yeah. No, it's guardian angels or something watching over me on this trip. Roger Hector, because the way I found out I was going is the office manager came up to me and says, "Hey, Craig, do you have a current passport?" And I went, "I've got a passport, but I'm pretty sure it's expired." And she goes, "Oh, well, you need to go to San Francisco tomorrow to get a new passport because you're going to Tokyo on Thursday." I'm like, what? And then, so not Mark, but Roger Hector, who'd been to Japan a number of times, gave me very specific instructions, very, 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 very of how to get through customs and where to go in the airport to get my little ticket for the bus and where to catch the bus to go to the hotel that I was going to be staying at.
Was this advice godsend at the time?
I was terrified. It's like, I don't, I can say my pencil is yellow in Japanese at the time, that was about it. Mm-hmm. And so I get there and it worked. Like Roger's directions were like right spot on. I literally walked into my hotel. They were expecting me. Everything's wonderful. And I was told that somebody at Sega Japan would give me a call and give me, and let me know what to do next. I assumed someone would be coming and picking me up in the morning. No, I get this phone call, and in very broken English, I'm given these complex directions of how to go across the street and down to the train station and go up to this level or down to this level and catch this train and go to this train station and go up to this level and trade to this train and then go here and then get off that train and then go out. And then, I'm like, oh. Okay, now this is not fun anymore.
And it's still the same today.
I was blown away by the train stations. I'm like, holy crap! This is
Shibuya Station is even worse now.
It was insane.
Yeah, it really is.
Shibuya Station's awful.
But I remember this is where luckily I got a little confused because the directions were once you get out of the last train station, walk out to the street and look to your right and down the street and on the right-hand side will be a Sega building and go in there and they'll be expecting you. So I get off the last train, I walk out and I look down the street and there's this huge building with huge Sega on the side. I'm like, wow, I made it. I was so thrilled. I was so shocked. Like, yes, I'm good. And so I walked down the street and the building I saw with the giant Sega on the side was on the left side of the street, not the right side of the street. So I go into the building on the left side of the street and I walk in and the girl at the front desk doesn't speak any English. She's not expecting me. And she goes, so she just kind of signals like, I'll be right back. She leaves and comes back out with one of two people in all of Japan that I personally know. It was Doi-san. I have no idea I don't remember what his first name was. He was one of the first people to come over from Japan and work at STI. And so he worked on Dick Tracy. And so I met him and got to know him a little bit in the first days of STI. And then he'd gone back to Japan. And it hadn't even crossed my mind to look him up or think of, So anyway, out walks Doi-san. And I'm like, he's like, Craig, what are you doing here? Like, what are you doing here? And so he was able to figure out, you need to be across the street.
They didn't tell him? Okay.
It didn't cross anybody's mind that we would have known each other. Because I don't know how long he would have been back in Japan. But anyways, because I knew him and I knew a young lady. I think her name was Amy, that had gone back to Japan. And so he walks me across the street. We meet the producer, give him the chipset. I'm now done. The job is complete. The producer asks me, "Do you have any plans here?" And I went, "No." And so he gave me his personal assistant. He's here. Take Mr. Stitt and show him the city. So I had this guy. I can't remember his name. Really nice guy. He had him for a day or two, and then Doi-san had me for a day, and then Amy showed me around for a day, and so I had tour guides the whole time I was there, which I would not have had I gone into the right building the first time. I would have had the producer's assistant for a day or two, but the rest of the time I had been on my own.
Huh.
So it was very fortunate that I walked into the wrong building. And Doi-san was there. I mean, of all the people, I'm sure she just went back and goes, yeah, I need someone that speaks English. So
that's probably what happened, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
was this office in Otori?
I have no idea.
He's not going to remember that.
I can still see the street when I close my eyes.
Back several years ago, I had for work I had to go to a neighborhood called Otori, and I remember very specifically seeing a Sega building, and then I remember seeing two Sega buildings across the street from each other, and being confused. And so when I heard the story from you right now, I'm thinking of the same thing. It must have been that neighborhood, because the two buildings are actually across the street from each other.
Yeah, one of them had big Sega on the side. But yeah, I have no. It was in Tokyo someplace.
What did you like about Tokyo, or where did you go, or what did you do?
I love Tokyo. I love Japan. That was the only I think the only place I've ever been where I'm sitting on the plane at the end of the trip, looking out the window, crying because I don't want to leave.
Wow.
I also remember looking out the window out at the bay, and the ships and the cranes, and just totally expecting Godzilla to come up out of the water. Because that's exactly what it looks like in the Godzilla movies. You just need to have Godzilla come up right in the middle of the bay.
I want to talk a little bit about Sonic Spinball a bit. Did you, I'm guessing sending the ROM for this one to Japan, because I'm sure it got translated here in Japan, or got, what's the word, localized. Uh-huh. I'm guessing it's probably not the same process. You didn't have to come all the way to Japan to deliver the ROM again.
I don't know. I know one of the reasons there was the big rush was there was some big holiday, Japanese holiday, that they had to get the ROMs to Japan before the factory closed for a week. And so they had to get it there. The deadline was super tight, so it actually truncated the whole Sonic 2 schedule, and there was just no delay in getting it over there because of this holiday that we had to get it there before. At least that's what I have been told since.
This is with Sonic 2 or Sonic Spinball?
Sonic 2.
Oh, I see. That's why they asked. That's why they asked you, and you delivered it on that day.
Yeah. I think I was listening to I think it was Tom Kalinske talking about something about having to get it, the deadline being super tight for this holiday. Spinball, I have no idea that end of that Spinball. I wouldn't have known any of that on Sonic 2, except for the fact that I ended up being the courier.
Right. Okay. So your involvement with Spinball, you're behind all the level design, or
the Spinball. Actually, I was busy doing. I think I was doing Treasure Tales when they pulled everybody. They pulled us off and put us all on Spinball. I've got a calendar where I've worked out the timeline, how this all lines up. And so Peter Morwick did all the level design, and he had very specific ideas of what the levels should look like. As where I was talking earlier, that I don't remember Yasuhara being overly micromanagey, picky about what it looked like. Peter, who's enjoyed working with, and very talented artist, very talented designer, was kind of a pain in the ass here. Constantly, can you change this? Can you change this? Can you change this? Because this isn't what I wanted it to look like. And so so he had it all drawn out, and the map he gave us had very specific art drawn into the map. And actually, I think that map is I'm pretty sure I put it out. The one map I have of my level from Spinball is I put out there somewhere, so it's on the internet somewhere.
So like looking at the level, I believe it's the first level actually that your artwork was used.
Yes,
it looks very much like Hidden Palace Zone actually.
It's actually, once again, because that artwork never got. I used the Hidden Palace artwork because it tiled so well and didn't look like wallpaper. Use that as my foundation to paint the textures for Spinball. So everything got rounded off and covered in green slime, but the colors are similar. And if you were to do an overlay, the rock formations and the tiling text pattern is the same.
That's what I mean. So it is the same art. Yeah,
it is the same art. Because that's one of the reasons I was so happy with it is I managed to come up with, because that's the hardest part with that pixel tile-based artwork on the Genesis, was doing stuff that didn't look like wallpaper.
I remember that really first level. It looks like very much like a swamp in a way.
Yeah, when it was actually originally supposed to be the second level, I was doing the second level. Brenda Ross, who just really got the short end of the stick through this whole process, was doing the first level. Which was supposed to be this her level was supposed to be this toxic level. And then my level was supposed to be her level was ocean, was caves, but water. And then my level was supposed to be these toxic caves. And then for whatever reason, time or memory or both, we had those got pushed together. And so I had to rework the bottom half of mine into water. And once again, all the work that Brenda did got cut. And I say she got the short end there because she had 2 levels in Sonic 2 that got cut after they were all but finished. So I consider myself very lucky at STI for everything that I had cut, both on Sonic and every other game I worked on there. I at least got stuff out the door. Things I worked on got finished and shipped. There are people who worked there for years, and everything they've touched, nothing they worked on ever made it out the door.
Wow.
So I consider myself very lucky, because it was a good 40, 50, even 60% of the artwork you did there got cut, which really got old fast.
Are you surprised that Sonic has had such a long life? And like he's kind of had this huge resurgence recently with the movie and the new Netflix show that's coming out?
So, not so much with Sonic.
You think mostly because it's a great character? Or?
It's a great character. It was a very fun game. And it's Sega is a brand that, even though they have screwed up repeatedly over the years on so many different things,
that's an understatement. Yeah,
it's still Sega. It's still Sega.
Yeah,
and so it doesn't surprise me that Sonic is still going strong.
Did you see the new movie?
I did. It wasn't nearly as bad as I feared it would be.
Okay, so you went in with the same expectations I did.
Yeah,
so I thought it was good. It was really good.
I enjoyed it. I'm hoping the sequel has more Sonic stuff in it. Go to the Sonic worlds. That's what I want to see. I have
to admit, the very beginning.
I can agree with that.
Oh, the first character thing.
The first scene, no, I'm talking about in the beginning, in the first scene where he's actually in the Green Hill Zone.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I want more of that.
See. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see him running around the real world. I want to see him in
his world, right?
So yeah, no, because I've got this theory with the original trailer release where he was scary looking.
That design,
teeth or whatever.
Yeah,
I want my theory is they did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Wait, explain this theory.
Well, they did it on purpose.
Made him totally terrifying, scary, horrible looking. because all you have to do is to change that in the movie is almost nothing. You know, it's just a few slider bars and swap out some graphics, and you've got the right character. But look at all the free advertising they got. You know, look how fast, how viral did that become? Because it was so bad that they got all this free advertising, and then you know a few weeks later, bam! Oh, you know, how's this better? Oh, yes, that's much better. And all this advertising, everyone talking about how horrible it is, and now it's like this is much better.
This is where the Sonic conspiracy theories start.
Yes, yeah. And so, but also part of me, because I just really looked at the original one and can't imagine somebody thinking of proving that. It's like, really? Did someone?
I mean, you look at Michael
approve
Bay's
this?
Transformers and his Ninja Turtles. I'm like, what is that? What am I looking at?
But see, but not even see. I can set that. I'll set it aside from the fans looking at it. So not even the fans looking at Sonic. Because if you weren't a fan of Transformers or the Turtles, then the movies aren't that bad. Because you don't know anything.
Yeah.
Because Transformers, although I still watch cartoons, I still love cartoons. I miss somehow. Power. What's the cats? Not Power Cats.
Thundercats.
Thundercats. Huge Thundercats.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot of cat shows.
A lot of cats. The Thundercats. So I somehow missed Transformers. For some reason, I never really watched the Transformers. I don't know how, because Thundercats and all those I watched. Anyway, so what they got right and got wrong didn't bother me so much, even with Ninja Turtles. Sonic, he was bad even if you didn't know who he was. You're looking at this character and just going, that's an ugly character. That's just hideous.
I think what the uncanny valley was the teeth. Mm-hmm. The teeth ruined it.
Yeah, there was just and so I'm looking at that and it's like, yeah, so it's just a very simple fix and they fixed it. So who knows?
I think if they didn't fix that, the movie would have been a disaster.
Oh, it would have been. You couldn't have watched it. You couldn't have watched it.
I mean, it was one of the 3 movies I saw last year. I usually watch tons of movies, but because of coronavirus, I mostly watched television shows and played a bunch of old games I never got around to completing.
Yeah, that was one that all the people I work with now, we were all going to go together, and I was going to dig out all my Sega jackets and hats and stuff. We're all going to wear it.
Oh wow!
To the opening, and then it turned out to be Valentine's Day, and I had a brand new girlfriend, and I'm like, not sure going to a Sonic movie with all my buddies, friends from work is the best date for Valentine's. Now, looking back at it, now that because I'm still with her, it's like, oh no, she'd have totally enjoyed that. So, I'd love to go back and redo that, and actually, because it would have been fun to go there and have my Sonic jackets.
Going back a little bit, when you kept all the rejected artwork that you made or you saw that other people made that got rejected from Sega, did you keep it and say, I know people are going to like this 10 years time? Did you have that impression while archiving it?
Maybe subconsciously in the back of my brain.
Yeah, because sometimes there are moments in my life when I've thrown things away that were Sonic related. And why did I throw that away? Yeah, I didn't know that was going to become so important.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a hoarder's not the right word, but I do keep stuff. And although I know there's
I think collector is the term.
Collector.
Hoarding means you just gather things with no rhyme or reason.
Yeah, so there's a collect. Yeah, I have a number of. My room right now is full of Legos. I've got so many Legos.
Interesting. Do you have the new Sonic Lego? Oh, wait, is that a thing? Or is that a fan thing?
It's coming out. Unfortunately, it's not kind of what I was hoping for, because I was actually really looking for. I do have a Sonic Mini that came out in their.
Oh, that's right. They made a bunch of those.
They're the video game version thing, interactive something or other. So I do have the Mini of Sonic. Mm-hmm. So I kept it. I mean, and there's just the part of me, art. You don't throw art away. Even if it's bad. Well, no, I threw a lot of bad artwork away. I did. Because I didn't want anybody to ever see it.
Right. No, I totally get it.
There's definitely this. Yeah, it's art. You don't. Not necessarily. Not specifically. Oh, their Sonic fans are going to want to see this in 20 years. It's like, no, there's art. art. Who knows who's going to want to see this 20 years from now or 100 years from now? And so the
right, it has some sort of meaning to you in a way.
The artist in me was like, no, you don't throw this away. In fact, I'm trying to figure out. I've got a bunch of. I know I saved a bunch of stuff from Kid Chameleon that got lost somewhere and moved somewhere or something somewhere. Because I know I kept all the maps and all the character design stuff I did for that, and it's gone. But it didn't get thrown away on purpose.
Were there any pitches involving or that were trying to tie the games into the Saturday morning cartoon?
Yeah, the Sonic Saturday morning. Not to be confused with the other one, because there's Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, and then there was the Saturday morning one just entitled Sonic the Hedgehog. But the internet seems to dub it Saturday morning SatAM.
I'd completely forgotten it, but yes. Unfortunately, that's about all I remember. I remember having meetings and talking and being rather excited about having that tie-in, but I don't remember any details.
I had heard that Yuji Naka was not very excited about Sonic becoming an American property. Overall.
He was very protective of it staying Japanese.
And whereas I've said, I myself have kind of a conservative viewpoint on it as well. I do recognize the Sonic canon as being purely whatever Naka says it is, but at the same time, a very good reason why we had Sonic Mania, Sonic Fever, or the Sonic craze in 1991, 92, 93.
Not Sonic Mania the game.
Not the game, but literal Sonic Mania among children and from 91 to like 94. It was because of the world building that they did with both the Archie comic and the Saturday morning cartoon.
Uh-huh.
And so it only seemed logical to me that they would eventually try to integrate the games into it.
I can literally see myself sitting at a desk and I'm looking out the window and listening, and they're talking about that and showing some images from the cartoon and talking about how it could tie in.
I'm looking it up now, and yes, apparently there was a Sonic the Hedgehog prototype game which tied into the TV show.
Yeah.
So yes, there was.
It's all I remember is that is sitting in that one meeting and being excited. Is like, this would be cool. This would be fun. Yeah, this sounds good.
Yeah. So I'm looking at it.
Nothing ever came of it.
I'm looking at a pitch right now. It's on YouTube. But yeah, the animation and the art looks great. But the one thing I think that is particularly wrong is that the gameplay is slow.
I'm trying, yeah.
And actually looks more of like kind of a Metal Gear Solid, like sneak around kind of game.
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, these bits and pieces of memory.
The art looks very the art and level design actually look very resemblant to Comic Zone though. It is pretty cool.
Hey everyone, thank you for making it to the end of the interview. Now, there is still over an hour of our conversation that didn't make it into this episode.
So wait, can you call yourself the creator of Spyro the Dragon?
Yes and no. The artwork for Hidden Pal Zone was just sitting on discs on my desk.
During the conception of Sonic 2, they had like a contest to also develop a mascot for Sonic.
Yes.
You also pitched a mascot or potential mascot for him.
I made the mistake of thinking of Insomniac's family.
These are only a few of the many sound bites from the second part of this episode. Be sure to check it out in the link below in the description. Also, if you made it this far, be sure to leave a comment below on who you'd like us to interview next in the Sonic community.
All right, then. I think that's probably a good place to end it. Anything you want to say before we go, Craig?
Yeah, it was just occurred to me as I was kind of going through and cleaning stuff here, COVID, going through stuff and trying to find that Segapede ROM, of realizing that this stuff is just sitting in boxes. I need to get it out where people will enjoy it, and that there's people out there that would love even just stupid little drawings. I think there was one here just recently. Some horrible little sketches. Just thumbnail kind of stuff for some level concept stuff for Sonic 2.
Wow.
It's just there's this a planet, and so it's just there's a ring around the planet, but it's a gold ring around the planet, a rail, and that's what you're running on. It's just this one little drawing. It's like it's not very good. And I mentioned it to somebody, and they're like, "Whoa, you got it?" It's like, no, it's nothing.
That's
and I realized, like, no, from my perspective, it's a horrible little drawing.
Okay.
But for people who even want it is a horrible little drawing, but it shows the process of pre-Sonic 2. And what that means, I need to remember what that means to people. It's like if I got the chance to go dig through the warehouse at Industrial Light and Magic and Lucas Ranch and look at some of the thumbnail sketches and original models and mock-ups for the originals for Star Wars, my brain would explode. I would be so excited. So I have to remember that. So I'm still trying to find. I know I've got some more stuff, and I just need to find it and get it scanned in and.
If you get any of that scanned in, we'd be happy to share some of this because we have a Discord now that we're going to probably showcase some of the guests that are on the show and feature some of their work. So I think a lot of this, what we talk about, is kind of visual. So definitely does help to have a lot of this stuff, access for it. So hopefully that'll become a thing here soon. I'll probably make a link and stuff like that.
No, it's my pleasure. I feel very, I'm just so fortunate. So a lot of it's kind of in the right place at the right time. But I look at my career, and 9 of the games I worked on, or is it 9 of the? Oh, I don't even know. Like 9 of them are multi-million sellers. And it's Sonic and Spyro.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that's that's very, very fortunate. And the people I've had the opportunity to work with. Marc Cerny. Marc is one of those people, you either love him or you hate him. He can be very difficult, and some people really don't like him. I loved working with him. He's the reason I ended up in Insomniac, because I knew I had to get out of STI, out of Sega.
Are you still in touch with him?
No, I've lost touch with a few years after I left Insomniac. I just kind of lost his email, or he didn't respond to my emails I was sending him. Now I'm not sure I even have his address anymore.
Oh, what's he doing today? Do you know?
I believe he's programming for the PS5. I know he did code for the actual hardware for the PS4, so he's actually working on Sony hardware. I believe. And I'm sure he's probably still got his fingers. His superpower, because you look at the games he's been involved with, and there's just hit after another. His superpower is he can look into the future and see what's going to be needed. And so he's able to do that and just hit after hit after hit. Jak and Daxter and Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, Ratchet and Clank, just game after game that he was producing, or either those early ones he was actually writing, actually doing game design. And I think a perfect storm at Insomniac was Al Hastings is this incredible programmer, and Marc is as well. And I think the two of them coming together allowed things to be done in Disruptor that hadn't been done before from a programming standpoint. And then really, when it came to Spyro, I didn't realize at the time how much edge-of-the-envelope, groundbreaking tech there was in Spyro from a programming standpoint. And that's Al and Marc working together and their genius coming up with ways to do things that couldn't have been done before. So, but anyway.
All right then. Well, I don't know. Marc and I have still been talking about how to end the show. I was thinking about trying to say it with a phrase, but we can't seem to agree on saying "do it to it" as the ending phrase. He thinks it's corny. What was the one you wanted? I can't even remember. Keep the grass green or something.
I think I was saying zapping to the extreme.
Zapping to the extreme.
But
Okay.
that's actually Sonic shoes, so never mind.
Oh, goddamn. Don't use that one. Don't use that.
I'm afraid Chris Chan will be very mad at us.
I don't care about Chris Chan.
We do that.
Well, maybe he cares about people using that, but yeah. So thanks everybody for listening. So Craig, is there anything you'd like to share other than you just what we talked about today?
No, as I say, I've enjoyed talking, and I love sharing this stuff, and I hope I keep coming across things. I know I saved more art and stuff, so hopefully it'll turn up, because I didn't consciously throw anything away.
Okay, well then, so until then, I'm Radrey, and
I'm Marc, and you're Craig.
yeah, he's Craig.